Hi everyone, it's me Wendy from Bake with Bakabee. Welcome back to my channel and good to see you guys again. If you are new here, welcome. Here you can find fun, easy and delicious baking recipe, tips and tricks for baking. Everything is about baking. If you like baking as much as I do, this channel is for you. Alright, so for today's video, I'm going to share with you a super simple and scrumptiously delicious biscuit recipe. It is a lemon shortbread recipe with lemon icing. It is buttery, it is lemony, it is just tasty. But be careful, once you have the first bite, it's really challenging to stop. Are you ready for it? So let's get started. Let's prepare the wet ingredients. Get 150 grams of softened unsalted butter and start beating it at a low speed with a handheld mixer. If you have a stand mixer, of course you can use it. At the beginning of the mixing process, you may see the butter got stuck in the beater, just like this. It means your butter is not fluffy enough, that's why it sticks onto the beaters. So, what do you need to do? Is just scrape it down and keep beating it. You may need to stop the mixer for a few times to scrape down the butter, but every time you stop, you will see less and less butter sticks onto the beaters. You just need to keep beating the butter until it doesn't stick onto the beaters. That means your butter is fluffy enough. Then we can move on to the next stage. I think the whole process takes around 5 to 10 minutes. So, be patient. The butter now has been beaten for around 6 to 7 minutes. You see, no butter got stuck onto the beaters. The texture of it is just like ice cream. Butter ice cream, would you like to try? Now we can move on to the next stage, adding the icing sugar. Here I have 55 grams sifted icing sugar. I like mixing it by hand with a spatula first. Avoid getting any icing sugar flying up onto my face. You don't want that, do you? Then mixing them by a hand mixer at medium speed until they are well combined. Once again, you may need to stop the mixer once or twice to scrape down the sides of the bowl and the beaters to make sure everything is well mixed. Mix, mix, mix. Finally, the butter and the sugar mixture is ready. Now we can add our stars of the show, freshly grated lemon zest and freshly squeezed lemon juice. After adding these two ingredients, just gently mix them together with the spatula. You will see the lemon juice and the butter won't mix. Don't worry, once you add the dry ingredients, everything will be well combined. Now get a sieve, sieve 255 grams of cake flour and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to the butter mixture. If you have already sieved them, you can just simply add them in. Just like adding the icing sugar, I always like mixing the dry ingredients gently by hand with a spatula first. Avoid any flour flying everywhere. We are almost done. Just keep mixing. When you start mixing it, you may see the mixture is a bit dry or crumbling. Don't think the dough is too dry or tempted to add some water or lemon juice. You just need to keep mixing them. Soon, you will see a nice shortbread dough texture. After around 2 to 3 minutes mixing, or until all the ingredients are well mixed, the dough now is soft and all comes together. Now I like using a spatula to shape the dough into a ball. It's just easier to handle. Next, we are going to roll out the dough. Prepare 2 sheets of parchment paper and a rolling pin. This rolling pin has the measurements on the both sides so that I can exactly roll out the dough of 6 mm thickness. If you don't have this kind of rolling pin, you can just simply place 2 chopsticks or 2 sticks on both sides of the dough so that you can roll out the dough evenly. Now everything is ready. Let's roll out the dough. I like dividing the dough in half. It is just easier to handle it. I will tell you the reason later. Place it on the parchment paper, then cover it with another prepared sheet of parchment paper. Flatten it a little bit by hand, then gently roll out the dough of 6 mm thickness. Why 6 mm? It is totally personal preference. I like my shortbread is a bit thicker than a biscuit or a cookie, but I don't like it too thick. It might be too heavy for me. If you like, you can make it thicker or thinner. It's totally up to you. But please be aware of the baking time. The thicker your shortbread is, the longer baking time it will be. When you are happy with the dough, put it into the fridge to chill it for about 30 minutes or until it is firm enough to cut. Then repeat the same process for the rest of the dough. When the dough is chilling, we now can preheat the oven at 170 degrees Celsius. For today's recipe, I'm going to make some round shortbread. Here I have 2 cutters. They both are 5 cm in diameter. You can use whatever cutter you fancy. I decided to use this ruffle one. It will make my shortbread look even prettier. Also, I have this non-stick shallow baking pan. If yours is not non-stick, you need to line it with a piece of parchment paper. Avoid any shortbread got stuck onto the pan after it is baked. Also, I have a palette knife here for transferring the dough from the parchment paper to the pan. Alright, let's get back to the dough. After 30 minutes, it should be firm enough to cut. Then place the cutter straight and press it down. If you are using this ruffle cutter, do not tempt it to twist it, otherwise it will ruin the shape. Sometimes the dough will stick onto the cutter, just like this one. Don't worry, place your cutter on top of the baking pan, then gently press the dough down. Continue to cut the dough until there is not enough space to allow you to cut a whole one. Then remove the excess. Lift up the dough using the palette knife. Place them onto the baking pan, spacing them about 1 to 2 cm apart. So, how do you do with the excess dough? Gather the pieces together, roll it out again between 2 sheets of parchment paper. Roll and cut until you use up the whole dough. If the dough becomes too soft, you can just pop it back to the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it is firm enough, you can just repeat the same process again. By rolling out the dough between 2 sheets of parchment paper, it can prevent changing the consistency of the dough by adding too much flour onto it. So it can make sure no single bite of the shortbread become too floury. Now it's time to get our shortbread dough into the oven. Bake them around 18 to 20 minutes or until the edges turn golden brown. Do you remember I mentioned earlier that I like dividing the dough in half? Because I can freeze the rest of the dough for the next time. It is just a lot easier to handle a smaller portion. Also, I like wrapping the dough together with the parchment paper by using cling film, just like this. It is not only give the dough one more layer protection, but also it will be a lot faster to cut out the dough next time. Wrap the dough nice and tight, squeeze the air out, just like this. Then flip the wrapped dough over, wrap it one more time, so the dough now can keep in the freezer for a month. So if you have guests come around or you just suddenly want to treat yourself, you can have this delicious lemon shortbread within half an hour. Wow, wow, wow. After 18 minutes, my whole kitchen smells amazing. Lemony and buttery. Who can resist that? Once these beauties cool down a little bit, place them on a wire rack to cool down completely. Look at those golden brown edges. Really want to have a bite now. While they are cooling down, let's make some lemon icing. Prepare 75 grams sifted icing sugar and 1 tablespoon fresh lemon juice. Mix them well with a spatula. Now I'm going to show you how to make the lemon shortbread look even prettier. Get a piping bag or a Ziploc bag and a tall glass. Place the bag in the glass, flip the top over. Pour the icing into the bag. Then flip the top back, squeeze the icing to the end. Tie a knot to secure it. Then use a pair of scissors to cut a tiny hole at the end. Now your lemon icing bag is ready. Get a sheet of paper or a tray under the lemon shortbread to get the dripped lemon icing. It is just easier to clean up afterward. Now get your icing bag, drizzle the delicious icing on top of the shortbread in the way you like. Wow, this is the most satisfying step. If you have tried this, you would understand how I feel. Wow, look at these gorgeous beauties. How pretty are they? After the icing is set, place them on the serving plate. Then they are ready to serve. They look beautiful, don't they? They are really tasty too. They are just really good with a cup of tea in the morning, in the afternoon, basically anytime during the day. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please give me a big thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more recipes by me. And please feel free to leave your comments down below if you want me to share with you other baking recipes. I will try my best to do it for you. Alright, so thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!